1. What is granite? Granite, granum equal grains, refers to its coarse grain structure. Igneous rock with visible crystalline form and texture. Composed of feldspar and quartz, light colors, and small amounts of mica and other minerals, dark. Quartz, feldspar, mica, granite. Granite is formed from crystallization of magma under the Earth's surface. The slower the magma cools, the larger the crystals become. Natural granite has no fabric. Sedimentary granite, granite gneiss, is known by its strong fabric. Commercially, the word granite corresponds with any rock that is hard and has large grains, for example diorite, gabbro, granodorite, etc. Granites come from all over the world, for example India, Egypt, Spain, Brazil, Norway and Africa. Canada and the United States also produce some very good quality granite as well. Where the stone originates has a high impact on the cost of the stone because of transportation and labor. Red granites and blue granites tend to be priced a bit higher than the other colors because they are more rare. Characteristics of granite. Many granites have certain natural characteristics such as pitting, fissures or dull spots that may at first cause some concern. A characteristic referred to as pitting is normally due to the fact that granite is a natural product that has a crystalline structure, sometimes resulting in small spaces between the varying mineral crystals. Asterisk pitting will not become worse with regular use or with the passage of time. Many types of granite have small fissures or hairline cracks on the surface of the slab, usually more visible in the larger quartz crystals. Fissures are a natural result of the heating and cooling of the stone during its formation millions of years ago. Asterisk fissures will not grow or expand over time. Some components within the granite may not accept the same level of polish as the rest of the crystals, which can result in dull spots or watermarks. Often these spots are visible on the darker crystals present in some granites. None of these characteristics, pits, dull spots, or fissures, affect the quality or integrity of the piece of granite in any way. They are naturally caused from millions of years of volcanic heating, cooling and formation. They make the stone unique, add character to each piece of granite, and make it stand out from man-made materials. How to differentiate between marble and granite. You can see from table the difference between them in origin, porosity, hardness, abrasion resistant, shape, price and polishing. To historical background. Ancient Egyptians used Egyptian granite in their temples and monuments, such as Temple of Abu Simbel and their numerous obelisks. Romans recognized the importance of Egyptian materials and continued to consider Egypt as their outstanding source of marble and granite in spite of the easier availability of materials throughout the empire. During the 19th and 20th century, marble and granite were used on a limited scale for luxurious buildings and were mainly imported. In 1948 only 2 companies were working in the quarrying activities. The sector gained importance starting from the late 50s with the construction of the High Dam of Aswan that required an incredible amount of stone material. For the first time Egypt 5-year plan, 1960-1965, included projects related to the extraction and utilization of ornamental stone. The measure was immediately reflected by a sharp reduction of imports. The development of the sector in recent times practically started in 1979 where only few public and some private companies were active using old-fashioned sand gang saws. A jump forward was made in 1980 with the introduction of the first diamond gang saws for marble. With the privatization trend in the 1990s, private investors started to get massively into marble and granite sector, high demand, limited supply, low barriers to entry, and since then the growth gradually continued. The sector has progressively gained weight in the context of the Egyptian economy, mainly due to the boom in the Egyptian construction industry that started in 1994, which increased the demand on the Egyptian stones. The competitive advantage of Egyptian marble and granite spectrum is derived from the variety of its colors that are now popular worldwide. Nevertheless, image of Egyptian stone products still need to get recognition at world level. Uses. Granite has been used for thousands of years in both interior and exterior applications. Outdoors, rough-cut and polished granite is used in buildings, bridges, paving, monuments and many other exterior projects. Indoors, polished granite slabs and tiles are used in countertops, tile floors, stair treads and many other practical and decorative features. For example, Cairo Tower is based on a granite base. Granite as a countertop surface provides one of the most attractive and durable surfaces available. Scratch-proof, stain-resistant and heat-resistant. Tolerates exposure to vinegar, citrus juices, and other household substances. Superb antimicrobial quality, which is second only to stainless steel. Granite is easy to clean with just warm water and soft cloth. Due its high strength, second only to diamond, granite can be used as an aggregate in concrete industry, foundations, roads, tarmacs, etc. Granite is also used in making sculptures. For example, Mount Rushmore is carved on the granite face of a mountain. 4 different kinds of granite. 5 comparison between some of granites, in the color, origin, water absorption, compressive strength, density, flexural strength and recommended usage. Cost and suppliers of granites. Location of different types in Egypt. Geographic distribution and performance of Egyptian quarries. 6 manufacturers/suppliers. Marmi, Gravel, Hassana, Marble Art Co., Zeitoun, Sina Tiles, Sina, EGY Marj, Alex Tiles, Rashid, Misrael Noor, Yathreb. 7 Manufacturing process. Quarrying and manufacturing of granite headstones is not as complex as it may seem. The hardest part of the process is locating strong, high-quality granite that is fit for creating monuments, because not all granite is the same. Once the granite is located, the quarrying process begins and large sections of the earth are dug up in order to remove large chunks of the rock. Granites that have smaller grain size are found 30 to 40 km below the Earth's surface and are more expensive to retrieve, thus creating a higher price. Quarrying. The main objective of the quarrying process is to remove large chunks of the rock on Earth's surface to reveal the granite underneath it. Caving methods based on huge blasts of rock were popular in the past. Before the advance of cutting technologies, explosives cause cracks in the rocks. Nowadays, splitting and line drilling are most common. Blocks are shaped and squared by wet shearing. Steps for granite quarrying. What a granite block looks like. Block cutting. The slabs of granite are shipped from the quarry to a stonemason who cuts the granite down further as well as polishes it with a special machine and do any necessary laser engraving, sandblasting, or laser etching the person has ordered. Depending on the desired outcome, this process is done using either a steel gang saw or a diamond wire saw. Good sawing depends on the quality of the sawing machine, the speed of cutting and the flow of water with calcium carbonate, for cooling. Granite processing, production of tiles. Granite blocks cut in slab form, ready for polishing. 7. Manufacturing process treatment. Since granite is very solid and compacted material, it doesn't need much treatment except having to fill some of its pinholes with lead particles, which makes it better for polishing. Furnace using epoxy under high temperature is used for treatment. 7. Manufacturing process finishing. Finishing. Polished. Honed. Brushed. Bush hammered. Flamed. Sandblasting. Leathered/antique. Polished finishing. Polishing is a process in which tiny grains are used to grind the surface of a material in order to make it perfectly flat and smooth without a scratch. The success of the entire stone roughing, cutting, grinding process is linked to this stage because the polish determines the value of the stone product at last. Polished finish is definitely the most common. This type of finish is a great choice, especially for kitchens. It's easier to keep polished surfaces clean and free from staining because a polished finish seals or closes more of the pores on the stone's surface, thus increasing its resistance to humidity as well as chemical substances. Granite's polished finish can often be described as both shiny and mirror-like. A granite slab is placed on a conveyor belt. Areas face up are the ones that will be polished. Conveyor belt moves the granite slab through a series of polishing wheels that use both coarse abrasion pads as well as fine polishing pads. Polishing the surface of granite involves grinding and cutting, coarse pads, as well as buffing, fine pads. Honed finishing. A honed surface finish is a smooth surface without reflection. It is not super shiny and there's very little, if any, reflection. Some call this finish soft or natural looking and others refer to it as just plain and dull looking. To achieve this finish, the finishing process ends before the buffing stage. Hence, honing requires less processing and should actually cost less than polishing. The honed finish is preferred for floors, stairs, and other areas where the presence of water might make a polished finish too slippery or where foot traffic might wear off the polishing. Honed finishes are slowly becoming more and more popular for newly installed granite countertops. This type of finish is smooth and also less shiny than the polished finishes. Its less shimmering appearance gives your home a slightly more casual and contemporary feel while maintaining the elegant feel granite is known for. A drawback of honed finishes is they are, unfortunately, known to show more stains when compared to other finishes, more porous. But this problem can be solved using certain types of sealers. Brushed finishing. Diamond abrasive brushes are substituted for polishing bricks during the finishing process. Is a very textured finish and is not recommended for heavily used areas. The brushed finish also dilutes the true color of the stone and will need to be enhanced often. Also known as antique finishes, brushed finishes are created by gently brushing the granite surface, which develops a worn-in look throughout the stone. This finish can give your countertops a more dramatic look when compared to the other finishes. Brushed stone has a slightly dimpled satin surface and gives a smooth high-quality finish. A brushed stone is ideal for floors, kitchens, fireplaces, bathrooms and entryways. Bush hammered finishing. A bush hammer is a specialized stoneworking hammer with a head that resembles a meat tenderizing hammer. The bush hammered finish is a mechanical round hammering process that produces surfaces varying from subtle to rough. For that it is often used for safe exterior floors, corridors to prevent slipping. Because the head of the hammer is usually small, about 1 to 2 inches square, it takes a long time to apply this finish to a large surface area. The result leaves the surface of the stone fairly smooth with small indentations. Can also used in design elements as interior wall cladding. Flamed finishing. A flamed finish is produced when an intense flame is fired at the stone, causing the surface to burst and become rough and very abrasive. This finish is used primarily for exteriors applications where slip resistance is extremely important, for example flooring, or as facing on commercial buildings, generally seen in industrial environments. Despite their usual use, flamed finish granite countertops are also a great choice for your home. Flamed finishes are the perfect solution if you are interested in a surface that is textured and slip resistant. Labor intensive, and can be costly. The texture is achieved by heating the surface of the stone to extreme temperatures, followed by rapid cooling. This exposure to extreme temperature change causes the granite to melt, and in the process, shatter some crystals. This leaves the granite with a highly textured surface. Sandblast finishing. Lighter in color than polished stone, sandblasted stone has a light sanded texture. The color tones and the veins are slightly dulled. In sandblasting, a high-pressure jet of sand is applied to the area to be treated. This treatment produces a smooth abrasion, leaving the material with a slightly scratched, but not rugged, surface. The term sandblasting is in fact a bit deceptive, since regular quarried sand will usually clog a blasting machine. Instead, sandblasters use aluminum oxide powder or special hardened silica sand. Sandblasting for granite designs. A flat sheet of rubber is first placed on top of the granite, and the design is then cut out of the rubber. Granite placed in a sandblasting room for the final carving process. A worker uses high air pressure and special sand forced through a nozzle at the tip of the hose, which then carves out the design and lettering. The area of the granite headstone covered by the rubber sheet is well protected. Sandblasting is very much like erosion, only at a very high rate of speed and in a controlled environment. After sandblasting, the carved areas are colored in black to provide contrast so the lettering and design will stand out. The person sandblasting the granite will now put the finishing touches and prepare it for delivery. Leathered finishing is a smooth textured finish that depends on the material. Stones that have more veins will have a deeper texture, while stones that are more consistent will have a very subtle texture, like an orange peel. Leathering the stone leaves a slight sheen and also closes the pores, so it will not have to be sealed as often. A leather finish begins with either a honed surface or a semi-bush hammered one, then it is swept with diamond-tipped brushes. The process brings back the color and closes pores on the surface. The result is between polished and honed. A leathered finish is a newer style of finishing granite that has become increasingly popular in recent years. Same as brushed finish but less abrasive. The leathered finish outstands the honed by giving a more sophisticated and more shiny look to the stone as well as retaining the stone's natural color. A leathered finish also hides fingerprints and water spots better than a polished surface. Problems facing the industry: quarrying. Lack of preliminary geologic investigation in the country. Absence of adequate legislation and rules for the general planning and control of the activity. Unfavorable location of the quarries with respect to dwellings and supply sources. Very poor conditions of access roads. Insufficient production planning. Wrong policy in the release of quarrying licenses, too small area for too short time. Scarce investments for the application of advanced cutting technologies. Inadequate professional level of manpower requiring specific training. Stone recovery not very high due to inappropriate technology and unsuitable quarrying methods. Low productivity of manpower. More persons attending a given operation always entail a higher chance of errors and a possible decrease of the individual sense of involvement. Poor safety and health conditions, dust, noise, traffic, explosive blasts. High cost of imported equipment and tools. Shortage of water at most of the quarrying sites. No available space specifically destined to waste rock dumps. Absence of common services for quarries, maintenance, delivery of explosives, and supply of water. Difficult communication due to the lack of telephone connections between the quarries and the head offices. Problems facing the industry: processing. Very small area available for the optimum layout of the processing lines and the stockyard. Machinery and equipment often obsolete, lagging behind the pace of the technological progress in the field. Incomplete infrastructures. Only recently the big cluster near Cairo has been provided with electric energy from public network, while it is still waiting for the connection to an industrial water delivery system. High cost of transportation from quarry to factory. Too crowded and ill-managed block and product storage area inside the factory. Lack of waste disposal facilities. Scant recovery of scraps and processing shards, and of marble sawing reject dusts that could be beneficiated as fillers. Inadequate professional level of manpower requiring specific training. Insufficient safety and health conditions in most of the Egyptian factories. Low productivity of manpower. Poor production planning according to annual budget. 8. Installation. Granite can be used in the construction site for wall cladding, floor execution, skirting, countertops. There are 2 ways for installation. 1 manual installation, by 4 different ways. 2 mechanical installation. 1 manual installation for wall cladding. A manual installation using cement mortar. The most commonly used method. Fixation by gypsum paste, every 15 cm height, at the corners of each panel with stainless steel bars which are fixed to the walls. Filling the gaps between the panels and the wall by mortar. Removing the gypsum paste from the cladding. B. Manual installation by pasting using chemicals. The elevation design is prepared, measurements are taken, thickness of the panels should not exceed 20 mm. The axes should be marked on walls, and the levels of the first row of wall cladding are determined. The gaps in between are filled with adhesive materials as well as mortar. C. Manual installation by steel bars. Steel bars, diameter 10 mm, are used for fixation. The number of bars depends on the length and thickness of the panels. At the back of the panel a groove is made to place the bars and then filled with mortar. Holes are drilled at the wall corresponding to the bars at the back of the panels, and these holes are also filled with mortar. The panel is then fixed to the wall spacing of 1 cm, which is the mortar thickness. D. Manual installation by anchors and steel bars. It used for cladding large surface areas of a building. Each 2 panels are fixed to one another using 2 steel anchors. Diameter 0.5, 0.75 cm. Afterwards, mortar is placed in the spacing between the wall and the panel. Manual installation. Flooring execution. 1. Make sure the subfloor is clean and dry. 2. Mortar, 1 cement, 4 sand, is prepared. 3. Start with the floor corner tiles. 4. Use a slight twisting motion to press the granite tile into the mortar and tap it down with a rubber mallet to force out any air pockets and ensure complete contact. 5. Repeat the process until all tiles are laid. Use plastic spacers to guarantee correct placement. Manual installation. 4. Countertops installation. 1. Accurate measurements are taken and accordingly granite is cut. 2. Most countertops will have at least 1 joint because the material comes in sheets that are less than 3 meters long. 3. Silicone applied at the joints allows for expansion and contraction. An epoxy holds the granite in place. Mechanical installation. 1. Usually used in facade cladding. 2. Site surveyor should mark the level of the first row of wall cladding. 3. Mechanical accessories are used for fixation, for example Z-bars. These accessories are defined by the specifications. 4. Each tile should be drilled at its 4 sides that allow pins to be inserted to support the anchors. 5. Joints are adjusted by plastic spacers for internal and external cladding and to be temporarily plugged with filler material to avoid spillage between slabs. 6. After setting of slurry backing, temporary filler will be removed and slabs cleaned with a clean, wet and soft cloth. 7. The joints are to be filled with grouting materials or sealant. 9. Quality standards. Standards are based on technical qualities as well as aesthetic features. The technical qualities are measured against the technical regulations and specifications adopted by each country. Technical organization and standards can represent technical barriers to the trade. The factory. Name, Marmi Zeitoun. Owner, Hossam Zeitouny. Specialization, cut, install and maintenance of granite and marble. 1 granite block shaping gang saw diamond wire saw. 2 granite block shaping. 3 sand blasting machine. 4 CNC water jet. Use water and sand. Software used is AutoCAD. 5 CNC OPIC. Use water and a special hydraulic tool. Software used is 3D Max. 6 statue is a product of CNC OPIC machine. 7 automatic polishing machine. 8 furnace use epoxy for filling the gaps. 9 automatic milling machine. 10 manual cutting machine. Thank you.